Mark Levin, Biden is burning the U.S. to the ground. Now, for the record, this does not include Portland, which does not exist anymore anyways. Hashtag rip Portland. And here we go.
You can see the war in the Middle East is widening. It's
well, yes, widening if you mean we're not going to, we in the UK and other countries aren't going to, and by the way, in the UAE and fucking China and everybody aren't going to let the Houthis bomb bomb commercial ships.
widening not because of Israel, but because of Joe Biden.
But widening, why? Because he's trying to keep Israel from widening it?
And Antony Blinken. Appeasement, equivocation.
Yeah, so here's the thing. Not carpet bombing the place and not putting, restrictions and putting restrictions on what Netanyahu does and putting that kind of pressure on him, which, by the way, he's not just getting from Biden, but he's getting from the Israeli people and different governments throughout the world and the UN and all that kind of stuff. If you do that, then the terrorists win.
Is a provocation.
Right. By not carpet bombing civilians, you're provoking these people. You have to put the fear of God in them. Okay, side note. So, invention idea. Work with me on this. The Israelis, drop leaflets and they text and they do all this stuff to warn people when they're going to hit a building. We do the same thing. We let the Houthis know we were going to hit their sites like a little bit before. Okay. And my concern is, and what occasionally the other deaths would be, is the people that don't get those texts, don't read those things. And famously, there's a guy from Hamas using the hostages paper and the warning leaflets as wrappers for falafel and was like holding them up and going, fuck you. So there might be some civilians who don't know, aren't warned, don't get the warning. So here's what we need. Work with me on this. And I think it will work with specific people in the world, if you know what I'm saying. We need a sonic bomb. We know currently that there's technology for making big sonic impact waves that don't do any real damage to humans, but it's like a big warning pop like noise, like a wow noise, right? Like a movie soundtrack noise, but you have to specifically tailor it to something that just sounds like a big whoom, like almost like the aliens in War of the Worlds, right? Right before that, their engines would fire up, and then with that, do like fireworks essentially above it, right? At the same time, so that the people who are under it, when they're going to hit one of those sites, go, holy fuck, this might not be the Americans or someone else. This might be the Lord himself. And I am going to clear. That, you know what I mean? Can you imagine if they just did, like, right before we struck a place, we sent one last warning, like, get the fuck out of here. And it was timed with the real munition based on how long it would take somebody at the center of the blast point to walk to outside the blast point. That's the difference. So you do that first, like that, and just and light in the sky above it. And then they're like, oh, shit. And even if you were dead center in the farthest distance to get away from it, as long as you walk in the right direction, I suppose you could look up the circle and go, I'm walking to the closest edge of that light. And then you just get the fuck out. Yeah, like a rapture warning. Yeah. I mean, I think that would be think about how much that would cost as a possibility. Think about, the amount of lives it would save. And imagine the kind of legendary, don't fuck with those people kind of effect it would have. Because if you're going to hit I don't have a problem with them hitting Houthi missile sites. These motherfuckers are firing at guys like that in our country, they have a union job. But in most of the world, these merchant marines and stuff are, Jesus Christ, like what they go through, risking their fucking lives on these ships to get these giant, packages. Stop fucking bombing. No. I'm talking about retaliatory strikes that are necessary, or I'll tell you what. Tell that to the Houthis. Tell that to the people who started. Then come see me. But if you're going to return that or whatever, shit, I bet half the time you wouldn't even have to bomb. You would just, that thing alone, just the big boom light thing would be, you know what? Maybe we should probably stop firing rockets into those populated areas because the Lord is getting mad. You know what I mean? Like, you might actually, I think it would work. You can do, honest to God, you could do that in the United States in places, and you'd have like Louisiana Christians going, the Lord does not want us to do this, right? I'm always up for non-lethal means. You don't believe in warning a legit military target. I agree. However, the problem is in these areas, you have a mixture of legit military targets that the people around them, they hide it amongst civilians. That's what Hamas does. That's what the Houthis do. It's what the Iranians do in Syria and everywhere else. And they don't give a rat fuck, and neither do the Russians. So the thing is, they may not care about their civilians, but we can, right? We can give them a warning, and we can drop, you drop the leaflets and all that kind of stuff, but you also follow it up with like one last thing, like, get the fuck out. I mean, it could just be a giant recording in whatever the language of the area is, just get the fuck out, and then and light, and so, you know what I mean? Because that would be shock and awe, not just bombing something isn't shock and awe. You can't be in awe when you're already blown to pieces. It's a theory. Work with me on it. It's think of it as a taser before you pull your sidearm, right? Civilized. Okay, back to where I was. People are getting mad. And by the way, the idea that somebody would float the idea that, like, stop bombing people. Like, okay, unless you're saying that to the people who fired first, I'm not interested. You know what I mean? That's like saying to a rape victim, stop fighting back. Why are you being so violent, lady? Explain to me how it isn't. Anybody? Yeah, the biggest Marshall amp in the world. We need to get Doc Brown and Marty McFly. Yeah, it's a sound analogy. I stand by it. So, all right, I'm going to float that. Now, here we go. Now, have I pissed off a significant number of people yet? Excellent. All right, here we go. Back to this dipshit.
For our enemies.
Also, for the record, I'm bringing this stuff up because I have a realistic view of that the world is not like a kumbaya place that will automatically fall into, like, fucking everybody living in a commune and in a drum fucking circle if everybody just laid down their arms tomorrow. It's not going to happen. It'll never happen. It can't happen. It's ridiculous, and it will take a long process to get us all to a peaceful space, and it takes a lot of engagement. This motherfucker doesn't believe that. This motherfucker's not even having that conversation. This motherfucker thinks that the only thing we're doing wrong is not telling Netanyahu to fucking level Gaza. Everybody dies. Fuck them. That's it. I'm a warmonger. Eat shit. I am not. If I was a warmonger, I wouldn't want to end it that way. I would, and again, like, why would I, if I was a warmonger, why would I suggest half measures? Why? Also, again, how is that not like screaming at someone who's been sexually assaulted? Why are you fighting so much? Quit scratching people. If I was a warmonger, it's like calling me an imperialist or something. If I was an imperialist, how the fuck did I bother to learn Chinese when I went there? Right? I'll just wait till they speak English. Whatever. Yeah. You are suggesting that the existing bombing was okay of the Houthi military sites? Absolutely. Unless you're suggesting that the people in the ships had it coming, Is that the idea? Are you suggesting that the merchant marines on those ships should just die so that they can get oil to and grain to Africa and goods through the Suez Canal? Explain to me why merchant ships deserve to be fired on. Why did they have it coming? Explain to me how they deserve it. You'd take the oil, right? Why would I take the oil? Well, Trump wants to take the oil, and that's what this guy would do. He's complaining for the same shit.
It's not that they need one, but you can see how they conduct themselves very differently under the Biden regime.
Okay, first of all, not a regime. Secondly, I hope so.
Than they did when Donald Trump was president.
Right, when he gave them the Golan Heights, he recognized the Golan Heights as Israel, moved the embassy to Jerusalem, recognized it as the capital, and basically fired a signal flare over Gaza that said, your days are fucking numbered.
And it has consequences for us. We have men and women in the theater. They're being shot at.
Hold on.
Under the Biden regime than they did when Donald Trump was president. And it has consequences for us. We have men and women in the theater. They're being shot.
Okay. Consequences for us. We have men and women in the theater. The theater. And look, as someone who's been in the theater, but not of war, but in the theater in general, I'd like to say I'm fine. Secondly, we have always, did Mark ever, sir? I don't think so. We have always had people guarding merchant ships and protecting private vessels against fucking pirates and the like. Get the fuck out of here.
Shot at. They're exposed. In this administration.
They're not exposed. They're not exposed. They are in dangerous parts of the world for a fucking reason. Look, police get fired at as well all the time. They understand that's part of the gig. It's not, yeah. This is just lazy.
It's gone weak-kneed. It will not attack Iran directly, and of course it has the voices of isolationism and Islamism in our own country.
Okay, no.
Urging them not to.
Well, no. You don't have to be an Islamist or an isolationist to not want to attack Iran directly. What the ever-loving fuck? Look, we know Iran pays the Houthis. We know they pay Hezbollah. We know they pay Hamas. However, the reason a proxy war often works and why it bogs people down is because you can't just fucking attack a country that hasn't attacked you. Did we learn nothing from the Iraq war? Nothing at all. We're just gonna fucking pretend that all was hunky-dory and that made sense at the time. Fucking the 9/11 hijackers, like most of them were Saudi. None of them were from fucking Iraq, but we had to go in there and this dipshit was all for it. All for it.
But that puts our troops at great risk.
No. You know what puts our troops at great risk? Attacking Iran. Because a war with Iran has a real military and we would kick their ass. There's no question they would lose. But at great cost. They have the ability to engage with not just us. I mean, look at fucking Pakistan. Holy shit. Okay, so indirect talk aside, if I may. Give me 1 second. I'm going to fucking bring this article over. Okay. So there are regions of this world where, you know how people are like, Here's this. There are areas, especially, millions of people would die. It's fucking stupid. And it's not necessary because in large part, the Iranian people would take much to make them on our side. They would absolutely open up and secularize for the most part if they could, but they're under the thumb of the mullahs. And if they had the ability to, the Persian society is fantastic. If it could be revived again, okay. Never mind. Here's what happened. You want to see something? This guy? Nope, that's the wrong one. Hold on. It's this guy. Okay. Iran did not strike our vessels, nor did Iran strike Israel, nor did Iran strike the ships or any of our fires. None. That did not stop them from firing upon Pakistan. Now, Pakistan's a nuclear power. Iran does not have a nuke. So much for the idea that if you have a nuke, nobody will attack you. I don't know what the fuck that is. Either that or this is our way of finding out that the Iranians know something about the Pakistani nuclear program that we don't, which is that it's shit or doesn't exist or it's all lunacy. You know, like they're just pretending to have it. You know, it's like cardboard missiles. But this is an enormous escalation by any stretch. This had nothing to do with us. Remember, for those of you who don't know, Donald Trump assassinated Qasem Soleimani, the head of the Revolutionary Guard, the guy who coordinated all these like Hamas and Hezbollah groups and all that guys who created basically this push plan where they would side with the biggest militaries surrounding Israel and then just start the squeeze, right? That was this guy's big plan. And Donald Trump, in my estimation, fucking illegally killed this motherfucker while he was on his way to the airport. He was not engaged. He wasn't about to cause. There was no direct threat to the homeland or anywhere else for that matter. He was definitely engaged in war, but he was in Iraq, a sovereign country that we have a relationship with. We don't own their government. And he just hit him with a drone strike just because it matters who's in office. And people are nuts. Oh, there's breaking news on Matt Gaetz. Ooh, we'll get to that in a minute. So, he's worshipped as a hero in Iran by a certain stretch of the folks that are there. He's like a folk/religious hero over there because of this struggle. And there were 2 bombs that went off at his funeral procession, this big memorial service they have for him, and killed 90 some odd people, I believe, and injured a bunch of others. And everybody, just like the fucking Nord Stream 2, said America and the Israelis are behind it. This is clearly part of this. And I can't say I blame them considering what Trump did, right? But I don't know why they thought, but anyways, so it happened, and everybody immediately went to that. Immediately went to the United States. And then, egg on their face that it was, ISIS took credit for it. Proudly took credit for the fact that they did this. Now, the ISIS as we know it, with the caliphate and all that kind of stuff, there's also another ISIS. There's ISIS-K. There's kind of like the Al-Qaeda in the Urban Peninsula, that, you know, these breakaways, but they're all kind of loosely tied together. ISIS-K is the one that's up in Afghanistan, and they have ties with people in Pakistan because that's where the Taliban came from, and this hillside. And there's this murky, nobody knows where if you go to Canada, about every 18 feet, if you go to the U.S.-Canada border, about 18 feet, you could kind of see a flag or a marker that says, this is the border. There's big stretches where the territory is really rugged where you won't. But most of the places, like, you can go, oh, yeah, look, it's a Canadian border. There's a little marker here. There's none of that in this area. This is all amorphous and crazy and fucking, yeah. Oh, thanks for the Discord heads up. So anyways, Health ethics probe of Gates seeks information from DOJ and woman who allegedly had sex with congressman as a minor. Ooh. Oh, that's good. This is kind of jumping in there. Let me finish this one thought, and then we'll get back to this. So, turned out it wasn't us, wasn't Israel at all. It was ISIS. And Iran, responding to this, bombed places in Syria and bombed places in Pakistan. Just directly. That's a country. That's the country of Iran going boom and hitting both of these fucking places. Right? Yeah, right. Trump defeated ISIS. Bing bong, ding bong, bing bong. Right. So and this is people like Mark Levin will consider this part of the escalation. This has nothing to fucking do with us. This is a random terrorist act in Iran by another group. America has nothing to do with this. The UK has nothing to do with this. The UN has nothing to do with this. This is the kind of stuff that happens internally in Yemen, in the Houthi and Yemeni corridor between those two territories all the fucking time. And Iran just felt like they were caught unawares, and it scared them that they were going to have their own October 7th, and they kind of did in their mind. So they bombed fucking Pakistan. Again, a nuclear country. Where's the news around here that, oh my God, the Iranians are escalating? Right, Pakistan neighbors Iran, exactly. Where's the conversation? Remember all the talk about, like, how dare we give certain weapons to Ukraine because Russia has nuclear weapons and they've got a lot of them? I got news for you. It doesn't take a lot of nuclear weapons to kill everybody. And it certainly doesn't take a lot of them to ruin entire countries for millennia. So one thinks you would, if you actually gave a shit about the issue, this would be equally concerning as this kind of thing. But the reason they're not concerned is because it's always a farce. They're just bullshitting about it. The people who are feigning, they're rending their garments and wailing and gnashing of teeth and all that. Yes, it's all Nikki Haley's fault. She did it. Now, where were we? Oh, we were still talking to this dickhead. But we don't have to. It's a waste of time. By the way, chat, like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. Let us know, let me know that we're here for a reason, that you need us and you want me to keep doing this and all that kind of stuff.